Welcome to the Super RPG Framework tutorial series. This is a toolkit made for Unreal Engine 4 intended for developing classic and primarily Japanese-style RPGs. It's set up to be easy to use right away, but is fully customizable within Blueprint. You can find it in the link below on the Unreal Engine Marketplace. When you first load up the project, you'll be greeted with this blank screen. Couple things first of all. You can see down here all my folders are color-coded. Now, initially I color-coded them in the project, but it seems that does not carry over when you create a new project from the marketplace file. So, I would strongly recommend color-coding this stuff just because it makes it a lot easier for, or at least if you're like me, it makes it a lot easier to pinpoint stuff instantly instead of having to pull out the names. Like, all right, I know that color is assets, static mesh, whatever. You get it. So you'll be greeted with this map first. This is the title screen, so you can immediately hit let's turn that down a little bit. You'll immediately hit the title screen, and you'll have this. You can new game, load game. Obviously, there's no games to load right now. When you fire up a new game, you will have full screen. You'll have this, which is essentially just a test map that shows off an example of each one of the features included. Area transition, the gab or banter system, chests, quest, shop, and combat. So you can see here, you have dialogue, blah, 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 you dialogue responses. I just accepted a quest. You can add a quest in the game. You talk to this guy, he'll say, talk to one of these guys to continue the quest. And this is an example of a branching quest that can have two different endings. So talk to the green guy, and that'll have a different outcome. So in addition to this, you also can hit E, and that will pull up the camp menu, where you'll be able to do things like, switch out equipment for characters, and you can see the comparisons there on the side being shown. You have items like potions you can use, whatever, and once it's used, it'll disappear. And since I had only one, it's gone now. You can see the character's abilities. You can check their individual status, and they'll have a character portrait that comes along with it. You can change out party members, even change out who's leader, and now I have yellow as leader. Journal, which is where your quests are. I completed that one quest, Chatterbox, and so it'll show the priority, the client, which is I named Blue Dude, the status, it's completed, and it shows the objectives. And the last one was we talked to the green guy, so now the quest is over. You also have chests, as you can see here. You'll grab stuff. Notifications will pop up on the side for things like acquired items, added quests, stuff like that. You can make notifications for whatever. You also have a shop here. It would appear my computer's having difficulty running, or OBS is having difficulty running this smoothly. It is running completely smoothly on my computer, so if you're having difficulty with that, I apologize. But anyway. So yeah, here you have an example of the shop, so you can buy potions. It's limited to how much you can buy per how much money you have, so you can't like accidentally buy 500 and go over. So all right, 0. Let's leave. And the last thing to try out is I'm going to make the screen smaller just so things work better. The last thing we're going to try is the battle system, and boom. So here in the battle system, you'll see you have a little turn indicator, you have your commands on your turn, all your information, the stuff you'd expect from a turn-based battle system. You can also hit E to analyze an enemy, as it showed there, and that'll show kind of the things they're weak to, what elements and stuff. And again, that can all be changed out. So we'll say attack him. You can example of magic, I don't know, ice on attacker. I think attacker's weak to whatever. I think the point is you kind of get the idea. I think you get the idea how the battle system works, though. So then you'll get XP, and we're back to here. And that's essentially the flow of what you have here. You have all these different features you can use as you see fit. Also area transitions, so you can segment parts of your game off so you're not loading in an entire open world area at once and dragging down the performance. So there's a few key things you'll want to know about in regards to the RPG Maker framework, and one of the first ones is the database. So if you go under Engine and UI, you'll see this EU RPG database. Now hit that and hit Run Editor Utility Widget, and it'll open up this little utility widget. And this is for modifying and keeping track of basically all the different elements and all the different items or whatever in your database. So we have your party members, abilities, armor. You have enemies and encounters, consumables, keys, blah 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 blah. You also have these types, which these are essentially just the different types you can select in these specific examples. So like you'll have different skill types. If you click on it, it popped up on my other screen, but when you click on it, it'll just open up. So you click on skills, it'll open up. Right now we have 3 different types of skills default, which you don't want to get rid of this one because this is, I mean, if you want to go in, you can obviously, one of the nice things about this is you can change pretty much anything. There's no like hard-coded C++ stuff, so if you know what you're doing, you can go in and just in blueprints modify any of this stuff to fit your needs. But as it stands right now, abilities such as guarding and attacking are derived from default, so you don't want to get rid of that. But you can also, like here you have tech and magic, which are the, just different skills magic, and you can add new ones. You can add, maybe you want, maybe you say you wanted to every class to have, you wanted a class system and you wanted every class to have their own different ability type. You could have different types of magic. Say you could have black magic, you could have, I don't know, white magic. You could have text, you could have, let's say, party tricks, I don't know, stuff like that. And the point is you can change it back and forth however you want. You could add more abilities, and then once you've added those, as an example, then you could open up, say, where is it, abilities, I don't know, abilities magic, and we'll open up some random one, fire. And then you can change it from here. What's the type? Is it default tech magic? And I did get rid of those other 2, but you'd input them here. So in order to add a new one of these, you'll have to click on this to duplicate it. We'll say I want a teal, and then click on it again to reopen it. And there you go. Now you have a party member teal. Important to note, when you create a new one, it all has to be one word. You can't have any spaces, otherwise it'll freak out, because it's creating a file inside the database. So, for example, here we have party members. You have teal here, and I have teal here, so we can modify those elements, save them out. I don't think I have any teal ports for demonstration, but yeah, and that's an example of how you can pull up and modify the different elements of the database. So it's important to note, this is essentially just everything from the database. This is an easy way to find all this stuff. All this stuff is being pulled from, if you go to data, the data folder, everything is being pulled from here. So all abilities, for example, are pulled from here, music is pulled from here, party members from here, items here, blah 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 blah. And all of the specific elements of these different stuff, enemies, party members, whatever, all the like parentmost blueprints classes are in here, in core data. So if you want to like create a new party member, it would spawn in here. You have yellow, well, like I said with teal. But if you wanted to instead change what specific attributes a party member class would have, you would open up core data, and in this case, as you can see, because it's derived from BPPM, that stands for party member, then you would go to BPPM base, and this is the base info for the party member. So you can see you could have a portrait, a big and small portrait. You have an actor on the field and an actor in combat, and that's just the actor that spawns and you take control of in field and combat. But say you wanted to add something else. We wanted to add, I don't know, we wanted to maybe make it so you could determine what the gender or the sex of the party member was. You could just put that in, sex. I think I have a variable for that. And now you could say, all right, now that's say put that under appearance. Or no, actually, we'll just keep that as default. Why not? It doesn't really matter. And so now, let's save that out. Go here, open up members, and go to teal, which we created. And now you can go in and change it from male to female to other. There you go. So that attribute you added is now able to be modified throughout everything else. And that is essentially how the database editor works. For this bit, there's one other thing I want to quickly go over, and that is the GameData RPG. This is something that just has a bunch of raw data that can be easily changed, but it will affect a bunch of other things throughout your game. So instead of having to input the exact same variables every time, to clarify, this is not stuff that is modified in-game. This is just stuff that is called usually through text or appearance. This is like metadata that determines elements of gameplay, but it's not modified in-game. Just as an example, say here you have money name. Say every time in the game, if you wanted to call money, you wanted to reference what the name of your currency in your game is, but you don't want to have to put it. Let's say you put it in as I don't know, pumpkins. We'll say pumpkins is your currency in the game, but you don't want to go in and put in pumpkins every single time. That shows up in a menu or even potentially even in dialogue, depending on how what dialogue system you're using. So instead, you'll just come in and put it in here. Money name, we have it as dough, so let's just make it pumpkins. And as you'll see, we'll compile and save that. And when we load up the game again, we'll open up the menu, and now pumpkins is our currency. And that's essentially what this does. It just holds a bunch of different data that's accessed in-game and menus, but not modified in-game. So you have the stat names, HP, MP, TP, physical attack, physical defense. We can change that to like strength and armor, and dexterity is misspelled, whatever. You also have element icons, which elements is one of the types from the database that is modifiable. We'll go into that a little bit in a different video. But yeah, you can select one of the elements and assign it a portrait. Same thing with the element colors. You can decide what color you want to have that element use. Item icons, same thing. Weapon icons, same thing. You can determine what the maximum party members you can have is in battle. Usually sticking to like 3 to 5 is good. The maximum amount of TP you can get, all that sort of stuff. And to call this sort of stuff, you'll just have to anything additionally you add can be added here, and to call anything new you add, what you'll just do is you'll go to get class data. Or is it get class data? Like get class defaults, and we have GameData RPG, which I think is already right here, yeah. And so you'll have all these things right here: the names of the MP, TP, defense, blah 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 blah. That said, I also have for the stuff that's already in here, I have some functions already set up to call that stuff quickly. So you could just say, so let's say you wanted to you were working in one of the game modes and you wanted to I don't know, call money. Then you could just say get RPG data money, and here you could have what the maximum amount of money you can have is, and then the money name. And this just derives from that RPG database that I showed you. So that's sort of an overview of the project, what you have available to you, kind of the key features, the RPG database, and the game data that you want to know about. And in the future, I will go more into how you handle, how you use and handle and can modify each of the specific elements of the game, from combat to dialogue and all that sort of stuff. So I will see you then.